Hello everyone, my name is Kevin Buckley and I'm a veteran retoucher, and in this series we're talking about how photo jobs really work. And in the first episode we had world-renowned photographer Kuhl, and we discussed why you would hire a retoucher, how it can help your photography and up your game. In this episode we're going to go over image selection, so we're going to be looking through the hard drive, picking out which images are the strongest and which would be good starting points for retouching. All right, stay tuned.
I have a shoot that I had done about a year ago, and it was just a broadcast shoot, so I didn't have I didn't own the set, so I wasn't able to sit there locked down, get polarizer plates and everything. And so it's going to be a little bit tricky on your side in terms of that. You're not going to have all the bells and whistles that you might normally have from a real shoot, I would say. But let's kind of dig in here and let's look at these files and let's take these people through this process, man. How many images are you thinking about turning over here?
Okay, so yeah, that's a good question actually. So I think there was about 2,500 images total. So
small. Yeah.
So good amount of images, and I've gone through and I've kind of made my selects and kind of, decided on things that, stand out to me that I like right off the bat. Now there's a number of images. There might be, I haven't counted them. Maybe there's 20 or 30 or even 50. I actually don't know. But we're not going to do all those. This is kind of a test work. So we're going to kind of pick the best ones. And to be honest with you, some of them, are detail shots that they're not going to need a lot of retouch. So, we could do more depending on, how much retouching there is. And by the way, everyone, we've got plenty of time on our hands right now because we're all in quarantine. So this is during the coronavirus. So, there's a little more test work that can be done for sure. So I think we're going to go ahead and get started. And I think the way I set it up is mostly I kind of want to start with the majors in that particular location with that particular car, and talk about how I'm going to handle those. And then some of the auxiliary shots or, less important shots, I still have listed that I like, but, whether we get to those or not, we'll see. We'll kind of see how the time, shakes out there. Okay, so this one will be pretty quick. I've only got two listed, and we just talked about them. It's just a different vehicle. Okay. So your terminal to match the car, getting some motion blur. Need to check focus and recover shadows.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me about the color on this one a little bit. Obviously, it's a little, for me, my taste, and you can speak to your taste as well. It feels a little. It's obviously super contrasty just based on where the sun is that day. What would you do to bring a little bit more of a, more appealing color tone and a more appealing, contrast to this image?
So one of the things we do all the time is, and this will, I think, definitely help in this image, is darken the road because that's where you're getting a ton of contrast. So if you darken your road, it also makes it look a little more premium. It's a nicer road. So one of the things I'm definitely going to do on this one is darken the road. I'm also going to recover a lot of shadows. And when I do that, that's going to take a lot of that contrast out.
Okay.
Now, red cars, I'm actually glad you brought this up because red cars in particular are very tough to do. Start messing with settings in say Capture One or in the raw. It can really mess up your tonal range in the red and flatten everything out. And I've had that happen. I've had somebody give me tips before with that happened. Actually, it went all the way to client to round one, and the client hated it. And I implored them to give me raws, and I realized once I have the raws that there's a bunch of recovery, camera recovery on it. So they're trying to get the highlights back, or they're trying to get shadows back. Totally.
Yes, flattened up, making it look gross.
Yeah, so I just basically stripped all that off and went from scratch on the ray. Now the background looked great for that. So the background was fine to keep those recoveries on. Before that red, we stripped them all off. So I think in this particular case, we're going to probably run into the same thing where the reds kind of need to stay the way they are, or, maybe they can lighten a little bit, or we can do different things with them. But when we start doing recoveries, say for the road or for the shadows and the trees, we're not going to be able to mess with that red too much. So that's part of the job of retouchers to cut that color out.
Yep.
And if you're not a
reds
retoucher,
yeah, and I would say reds especially are just it's a tricky color, man, especially when it comes to cars. Blues, greens, those are great to work with, but reds, for whatever reason, I've always found, red to be a really difficult color to make really look nice and really, pop. For me, it's what divides like amateur retouchers and pro retouchers is how their ability to handle reds, especially on sheet metal.
I agree. There are tricky things with reds too. And a lot of times when you're shooting on a nice blue style, you shoot out in the open sunlight, like this shot right here, you're gonna get the blue going over the red, and she's gonna inevitably make like a kink. And
yeah, yep.
Like, so that's one of the tricks that you're gonna have to do, and kind of if you've been in the game long enough, you can't keep those reflections. You're gonna have to mess with them.
Yep.
They are realistic, but they just don't like them. So. Anyway, so going back to your original question, one other thing too I would probably do, it is midday and the sun's going to be high in the sky, but I would probably, and this is going to be artificial, but I think it's nice, is to add some kind of soft gradient flare to the top, something yellow, orange, or whatever. Not too saturated, but enough that, just gives it a little highlight. Something very subtle that'll help, like, get you away from such a contrasty area.
Cool. So, move on to Point Mugu.
Okay. Getting that one up. Point Mugu is one of those funny locations that if you're in this game long enough too, that everybody, has shot there. And I've been there multiple times, on location and stuff. And it's just a great shooting location. And the diversity you can get from it is actually pretty incredible, because I know it gets shot all the time, and a lot of times you can't even tell once you see the final product. But now that I that it was labeled, I obviously know. So all right, so let's take a look at this one. Okay, so this one runs into, this is actually another interesting point. Some of these shots are going to run into legal issues when you shoot them. And one of the legal issues that they don't like is they don't like when the car crosses over double yellows. Nothing illegal in real life. They haven't done any of that in pictures. So I know for a lot of the sunsets, the car was, obviously this road stopped with officers and it's a blind turn, so the car can just come down and loop around and come back up. But I can't really use any of those shots where it's looping around, and I can't use any shots where it's out of the lane lines. Now, if it's a really good shot, you could move your lane lines over one way or the other, but only realistically so much.
Sure.
So since I started talking about those, let's jump into the sunset ones right off the bat.
Okay.
So 4072, beautiful shots. Same thing with 4073, 4074. All these I think would do fine. It's just a matter of how much can we recover in the shadows, I think.
Yes.
And if we can recover enough, then I think they work. If they don't, you could still use them in a brochure or something like that. They just can't be heroes. They're going to be small, just for ambiance and stuff like that. I think same thing for 4229. Let's take a look at my notes a little bit here. And the setting sun in 4260 is so nice. That one I like in particular, probably more than the other ones, because we do have good light on the car. We do have that good sky reflection, so you'd have to see what we could bring in down below.
Okay.
We'd also, obviously we're gonna delete that drone in the sky. But I'd like to see how much detail I can get on the side of the mountain there, or the rocks on both sides, to see if we can get that, and then probably clean up the bottom right. And either keep it gravel just going forward, and so just kind of eliminate any pavement that was there. I think that would help. So you've got dark on both sides of the car, you got the car on the road, you got this fantastic sunset. I think we'd also add some flare, maybe a little flare coming off that sunset, or especially on the rock. Maybe gets a little to the car, but maybe some yellow orange on the rock next to the sun. I think that would be helpful. Let's see what else we got.
Would you do anything with a foreground element here, or would you just kind of keep it as is? How are you feeling about that?
You know, it's possible to put in a foreground element there. I didn't see anything right off the bat. I'd have to go back through the files and take a look and see if I can find anything else. All right, so I think that's it for that folder. Let's move on to the second point Mugu folder.
These are some of my favorites, to be honest. This whole little set here. The time of day, the location. I mean, I feel like we can get some really great images out of these. So I'm really curious to see what you got to say about these.
Definitely. Okay, so my first note right off the bat was that some of the detail shots are great, but I don't think I'm going to be able to add too much because they are great. I mean, there's not too much to do there. I mean, I can take out some extraneous reflections or just cleaning, but I didn't, and we can go back and look at those at a later date, but I didn't actually stop on too much because they're not hero shots that imitate these composites. So
gotcha.
Yeah, there's not too much to talk about there for me. So the first one I want to talk about is 4461. So yeah, really like this one. Again, it looks aggressive. The reflection on the sheet metal on the side looks great. We're going to need to bring back some of the lights and sheet metal in the front. The rocks that are tangent to it, so the rock coming off the hood and the one coming off the rear, those I'd probably remove. The shadow, I think, looks great in the foreground. It really kind of sandwiches the car there.
Yeah.
The sky could get a tad darker, at least on the left side.
Yeah.
And I think the rock behind the car, the way it's contacting the car up by the hood, I think you can adjust that.
It's a little funky, yeah.
It is. So that needs to be moved a little bit. The fence is going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
The barrier at least needs to be cleaned up. Not quite sure what we're going to do there. I think there's some traps out there too. Of course, we'll clean that up. And this one does have extensions. I think you went left and right on it.
I did, on this one.
Yeah, so the right one, I'm not sure how much we're going to use of that. The left one, I definitely want to use because I want to get more ocean involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say too on this one, what do you feel about bringing that? Because it was kind of like a ramp up. Like you pull in and it's almost like a barrier there as you're looking out towards the ocean. So you have this where that second rock is on the left there, that smaller rock with that bush. Mm-hmm. What do you feel about bringing that whole horizon line or that whole, rock line down to maybe underneath the headlight quite a bit? You know what I'm saying? So you see more ocean as opposed to, this is mass rock right there.
No, I completely agree. Brilliant idea. Yeah, definitely should be done now that you said it.
And then it feels like you're actually looking out over the ocean rather than have this little ramp there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree completely. Yeah. So that's a great idea. Let's definitely move that one down. Delete the rock in the bush and you just move that whole thing down. I think you've got other shots that are looking down on the ocean more, so we can grab from those.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty much it for that one. And then we have 4851. Yeah, so the lighting on the side of the car, love that. The car in the front's a little dark, but we'll cover that. Like the light going from left to right. Yeah. Here's another thing with automotive retouching is that, the hood has room. There's no tangents like it's not a telephone pole or something crazy. So there's nice room there. This one is actually interesting for and another quick note. See these pontoons in the back? A lot of art directors hate pontoons.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because it limits it to kind of Southern California.
Yep.
So they always want to get rid of those. So we'll probably throw those in the background as well as that sign. Now, for me, the parking, I don't know, barriers, whatever you call those, I actually like it because it helps with the perspective. But what do you think? What's your take on it?
No, I'm fine with that. I might just straighten that one that's off kilter, but that would be my only note on that. That way they're at least uniform.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if that's uniform, it actually it's a nice leading line as well.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, that's a good move to straighten out for sure. Okay, so the next one we have is we're going to start the vineyard. Okay, so let's go up to that folder. Let's start with I think this is the one I have, 5393.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so there's a number of different ones on this one. Again, it's one of those ones we're going to need to zoom in and check focus on. But I like the aggressive nature of it. Again, I like the lighting on the side of the car. The hood's going to need a new detail push to get a little more shape in the front fascia. And I think we can use some of the shots around this one to build out that background a little bit more. I would like to see more of that vineyard and some of the groves off in the distance. Yeah,
I'm hoping we get pull from our plates to, I mean, even just compositionally, just to push that, the car a little more towards either center or lower left and have a little bit more of the environment shine there, hopefully.
Sure.
Be interesting to see what you do with that.
Yeah, and those notes are going to apply too when we have the SUV driving down the same way. So we're going to have that. So I think a little bit later or maybe the next one. Okay. So that's kind of what I would do there. Let's see. So 5406, 5407. I think it's just either one of these as a profile shot. I like the light on the side of the car. Background needs some kind of extension, probably.
Definitely does.
Yeah, so if we can take the extra shots and see a little bit of farther left, see how that hill slopes down into the valley, that would be ideal.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is great for profile too, because you have that, you have a lot of flexibility in just clipping the line right where the road is and essentially replacing the background if you need to build out.
Yeah, exactly. And then the foreground too, we have a ton of, blurred vineyard that you were standing. And so we can put some of that in the foreground as well. Just maybe a little bit down at the bottom, just so there's, just a range of elements doing, building depth.
For sure. I think this one's going to be great when it's built out a little bit wider. And like you said, replacing everything, just the way the light's falling on it, it's a nice looking aggressive, it's a nice aggressive looking shot.
It looks like it's early morning. What I immediately thought of when I saw this fall is that these would be great to show. Well, I don't know. What we could do is we could try it on one, but what I was thinking immediately was like blue hour. Getting up early, going for this crazy drive up to the vineyards to go wine tasting for the day, something like that.
Love it.
Yeah, so that was the narrative I had in my head. So some of these I think can be pushed to blue hour. Okay. And then the series would basically use blue hour for morning shots and a little bit darker, and then as the sun comes out, we're gonna have sunny shots and blue skies at the end. Okay, so 5929. Okay. So we've got another straight on shot, and like the lighting on this one. Let's see. Let's see what my notes are for this one. Okay, so I don't have any notes. It's just a pick. This one is one that you could, use your virtual rig on as well. Because it's on a road. I wouldn't virtual rig it too much, and I would definitely darken this road. It's a little bright. But we could do that.
Just a slight motion to it, huh?
Yeah, because I don't want to blur the background too much. I love the background. I kind of want to bring that out a little bit more, maybe darken the sky. In fact, the whole shot probably needs to come down a little bit besides the sheet metal. So I'll probably cut the car out, make the shadow, and bring everything else down.
Okay.
But
how do you feel about the off-kilteredness of it, just ever so slightly? Would you straighten it up, or would you even take it even more Dutch?
I would straighten it up.
Do I say Dutch?
Yeah.
It's a big no-no for so long, but people it's coming back with a vengeance, I feel like, recently.
Yeah, I've said Dutch on set before, and the photographer had to explain it to the art director because, it goes out of passion when it comes back. Okay. I guess we should explain it now, but Dutch just means rotating the image. I guess there was a Dutch photographer at one point who was the first one to do it. So they were saying, see Dutch the image, it makes it look more aggressive. So
and like you said, it comes and goes. It's been out of fashion, I feel like, for a really long time, but for whatever reason I'm seeing a lot more in car photography, and I'm seeing it a lot more in fashion. I mean, just in general, I'm seeing it a lot more recently, really within the last year. I don't know if you noticed that as well.
I haven't, but everything, goes
People have really strong opinions on the Dutch, man. I'm gonna keep mine to myself and let the viewers. That's your guys' spite.
Yeah. I actually don't mind it either. Either way. It's all what you want to accomplish. If you want it more aggressive, I would say Dutch. If you don't have to. a great thing, and photographers always advise this, is to take a week. You know, if you have that kind of deadline, take a week and then look at them again.
Yep.
And I just did this for another project. I had a little project of my daughter at the aquarium of the Pacific, you know, before the lockdown. And I picked my selects, and I waited a week and picked different selects, and then I waited a month, and then I came back and picked, you know, a couple other ones that I didn't have.
Yep.
And, you know, it just changes, you know, as you go.
Sure.
And so I'm sure there's, you know, few that I missed that have potential, you know, for some
sure
back and decide on any of the ones you picked as well.
Yeah, definitely. Giving your eyes a rest is something that cannot be understated. I mean, for me, it's if I'm looking at even making selections, either retouching, you know, I have to just step away for a while, give myself, you know, 15, 20, 30 minutes. And then, like you said, man, give yourself a week, especially on selections, man, because sometimes you just feel so differently about a shoot that you know, it's so much of it can be dependent on mood and how you feel at the time, and then you kind of come back and you see them, you know, through a different lens. So I think it's super important to you know, give yourself that luxury to just kind of step away from it, reassess, and come back to it and see it with fresh eyes. Super important.
For sure. Yeah. The great thing about this is some of them that, you know, are obvious to us, like some of the majors, you know, some of the ones that we had extensions on, you can just go ahead and start those. You know what I mean? Like those are pretty obvious picks. And then some of the ones that are like, I don't know about that one, maybe, you know, those can be put in the category of the secondary ones. Revisit those and you can see while you're retouching the other ones. So it's not like you have to stop the project. You can keep the project going, but it's always good to look again. It really is.
For sure. Definitely. Well, cool, man. Thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to see how these images turn out, and I'm excited to share just kind of this process with everyone, because I know for me as a photographer, especially coming up, I didn't know how any of this stuff worked. I didn't know what it was like to work with a retoucher, you know, what the process was. So for us to be able to shed light and kind of open that, you know, that door to the rest of the community, I think it's going to be a really cool thing. And hopefully it'll encourage people to, you know, keep shooting and keep, you know, putting out really good work.
All right, if you enjoyed the video thus far, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like, subscribe, notifications, so you can be informed when we have another video that goes out. So in this video, you got to see the selection process. So everything that goes behind us picking images to start for retouching, including the art direction, if we're gonna do extensions or not, if we're gonna add talent or not, all that good stuff. Now in the next episode, you're gonna see the first retouched image. So you're gonna be able to see it from what we picked in our selection to what it ends up being at the end. So if you can, go ahead and click it. If not, you gotta wait till it comes out. But thanks again for joining me. I'll see you next time.